right, welcome in Facebook friends. Good morning, Zoom. Ivan here, 9 o'clock Thursday in just a few moments, but we're here, we're getting ready to get rolling. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to be sharing with you again today. 9 o'clock is scissor over comb, and I love sharing scissor over comb, so we're going to do a little deep dive in that technical exploration. And let's see, Salon Pro Academy Rapid City checking in, All States checking in, Cleveland, Chelsea from Elite is checking in. We got a bunch of people checking in on chat here. Somebody else from Elite is here. Somebody else, that's not fair. Let's call them by name. Nikila. Another Rapid City, Ariel. T-Spa, Shorewood, Illinois. Tracy. Haley's back. Welcome back, Haley. All right. Roger's here. Massachusetts. All right. Facebook, welcome in. We're going to jump into things. We've got scissor over comb today at 9. We've got 100 by 100 business building, the 400, which is an exploration of the clients you need. Now, somebody got a hold of me early this morning and pointed out that there was no Zoom link for the 11 o'clock class, but I took care of that. There is a Zoom link for the 11 o'clock class. Good morning, Michael from Daytona. I just posted it up on all my social media. The link is out there. If you didn't get it in the regular bulletin, I guess there was a bad link up there, whatever. I fixed it. We got a new link for 11 o'clock. Do not miss it. That's going to be a great business class, and we'll get into it. Reminder for tomorrow, Friday, we wrap up the week. 9 a.m. is razor, line, and edge, and 11 a.m. is how to open a barbershop or hair salon. And we're going to have a special guest, somebody who's recently done that, who can share the ups and the downs and a bunch of stories regarding his experience with getting his shop up and open. As always, we start out by acknowledging, recognizing a big shout out to our friends at Barbicide, barbicide.com. By now, you should all be Barbicide certified. You should have your wipes. You should have your Barbicide concentrate. You should have your cans of Clippercide. Some of us are starting to cut hair already. A little bit of traffic has died down here because people are busy cutting when I'm busy doing classes, and they're catching us on the replay, and that's okay because we want to get back to making money, but we're still going to be here sharing knowledge, information, and education. So we're good with Barbicide. Let's get started. $100,000 hair cutter tip of the day. It is May 14. The Ides of May are upon us. And let's see what we have. We're halfway. Can you believe we're halfway into May already? And May 14, day 134 of the year with 231 days remaining in the year. We're not at the halfway point yet, but we're getting there. Have backup tools. That's our tip of the day. 2 p.m. on a busy Saturday is no time for you to quit. It is no time for a clipper to quit on you. A clipper will die or a tooth will chip when it is least convenient. Having backup tools at the ready is an element of simple professionalism. One of each of your tools should be stashed for when you need it right now. They can be quality tools. They can be quality used tools that are semi-retired rather than new tools in unopened boxes. Be ready to have these go-to options up and running at a moment's notice. So if you own one clipper and you own one scissors, in a moment, in a flash, in a snap, you can be out of business. And I think that's what this tip is about. It's about being ready. It's about being prepared. Backup tools are so important and so essential in our business. So we always recommend, I always say when you buy your new tools, pack up your olds. I have backups for backups. Hey, I'm that guy, you know what? I take pride in the fact that I've never showed up to teach a class at a trade show, a school, or an event unprepared. I have everything I need, and I always have backups. Sometimes backups for backups. Absolutely. So that's the tip of the day. Friends on Facebook, friends on Zoom, offer up a date. You got one for us to take a look at an additional day in 100,000? I'm pulling Facebook up on the tablet. Lisa was first up with October 19. So we're going to take a look at Octo 19, and then by then we'll have a contribution from the Facebook crowd. Let's see what we have for October 19. October 19, day 292 of the year with 73 days remaining in the year. Overlap sections. This is a technical cutting technique related to clipper over comb and potentially scissor over comb. So remind me if I forget. I will actually clearly demonstrate overlap sections when we get to scissor over comb in just a bit. But clipper cutting or scissor cutting can be like mowing the lawn. One of the keys to not skipping any hair is to overlap your sections. When clippering and tapering in backs and sides and nape areas, be sure to work with an approximately 25% section overlap. That is to say, 75% of a section is new hair, 25% of a section is the prior section, serving as the guide for the next section. This prevents skips and results in a smooth, even finish. Be sure to practice in order to overlap consistently, yet still work efficiently. Too much overlap and you're not going to be moving through the head rapidly enough. Not enough overlap, and you're going to lose sight of the guide, and you're not going to be getting an even and consistent haircut. So definitely have section overlap when working in that way. So just have a second station, go back and forth to allow for sanitation. Should I have two more backups? I think, Scott, you're working with a double stations, with a pair of stations. You're working back and forth station to station from a sanitation standpoint. I think for two stations working like that, you should still have one of everything as a backup. Just one more of everything. You drop a clipper, because then you get two stations running, you drop a clipper, you reach in the back, you go into a cabinet, you take out a clipper, you're good to go. You still have two clippers running. Worst case scenario, you could double down to one chair, and that gives you tomorrow, you can, or this evening, you can get on the phone, you can order a blade, you can order a tool, you can get Amazon delivering or whoever you're ordering from, and you can get back in action pretty quickly. But you definitely just need some form of backup. Absolutely. Good suggestion, good idea. Did we get a date from Facebook? Let's look and see what Facebook Land has offered up. The tablet, this is an old tablet that I use for monitoring here. It does boot up, not as quickly as I would like, but it's still a working tool to let me monitor the Facebook chat. So I'm just going to go in there and see if somebody on Facebook has offered up a date for us for another reading from 100,000. Here we go, and we've got comments. Yeah, Annie on Facebook brought up December 1. So let's take a look at December 1. Thank you, Annie, for offering that up. December the 1st. And as we know, in almost all cases, the first of the month is a typical standard post. December 1, day 335, 30 days remaining in the year. We're getting close to the finish there. Review your November numbers. There's a lot of data to analyze as we get to the end of the year. You have the November numbers to look at as you have assessed monthly numbers all year. You should be focusing on how the fourth quarter is looking to finish. You also have a very clear picture of the entire year at this point. 31 days from now, you'll have a full year of data. Get a jump on the year end by gathering all your numbers and beginning to dig through the data. If you've been working hard all year and striving to implement creative promotions, deliver killer service, and hone your technical skills, the numbers will be very exciting to tabulate. Have fun with your success. By the time we get to December, you've had a year of learning how to calculate your numbers, crunching your numbers, analyzing your numbers, digging through your numbers, which is very exciting, and you're starting to see how the year's coming together. You're starting to get ready to celebrate the success of this year and move into the next. So the first of every month, of course, is analytical number conversations, and the 1st of December is exciting because we're really getting close to wrapping up the year. So that's 100,000 for today. Paper, digital, audio, ivanzoot.com. Get in on the program, get in on the knowledge, get in on the information and the education. Do you have your book yet? If not, get your book yet. All right. Lisa says, awesome, that's what we're learning in school right now. Hopefully that was in reference to technical cutting or the business stuff. Either way, good deal. And a big shout out and thank you. I've started talking about the 4-book set. That's 100,000, 100 by 100, big and bigger, all 4 books, and you guys have started ordering it. Thank you very much. I shipped out several of those sets yesterday, and I'll ship out more today. Jump on the web and get your book sets, and thank you very much. All right, let's talk scissor over comb. Scissor over comb perhaps is regarded or thought of as one of the most classic skills of the barber business. Let's be sure we know what we're talking about. We're talking about scissor in one hand, comb in the other hand. We're not talking about holding hair in our fingers to cut. We're talking about the combination of scissor and comb for tapering and for layering through a haircut in combo. The comb takes the place of your scissors for lifting and holding the hair, or the comb takes the place of your fingers, I'm sorry, and the scissors is doing the cutting. When you think classic barbering, you get a picture in your head of a barber, it's almost always doing this. Scissor over comb cutting. So fundamental to what we do. We're going to break it down, and then we're going to actually get into some cutting. The first thing we're going to talk about is your comb. I think it's very important that the comb you use is appropriate for scissor over comb. And I want to talk about why, when we created the Zoot comb, it was specifically designed to be the ultimate tool for men's hair cutting. All 5 of your tools, clipper, straight scissor, blending scissor, razor trimmer, are supported by the comb. So every aspect of it had to support the tools we use and the way we cut with men. And this is where we get into the large end of the comb. Very deliberately created for scissor over comb. And I want to explain a few reasons why I can say that, and why I want to point out the features of the comb that are deliberately set up to support scissor over comb work. Number one, we've got a handle on it. We've got a handle that you're going to hold in your thumb and forefinger, because controlling the angle or the pitch of the comb is the essence of clipper over comb. You don't want to hold your comb with your thumb on it like that. That's a big wrist movement, and that's going to be an ouch. You want to hold your comb like you hold up a quarter. We talk about this with clipper cutting. We hold up our quarter by the edges. I want you to do that. If you're a right-handed hair cutter, I want you to do that with your left hand. I want you to hold up a quarter. It doesn't have to be a real quarter. It could be a pretend make-believe quarter by the edges like that. So if you're on Zoom and I can see you and I'm going to go, we just lost Zoom. All right. My apologies, guys. You know this happens from time to time. We do have thunderstorms today, so there was a good chance we'd have some challenges with stability on the web. Facebook should still be cranking away, but I'm going to reboot Zoom, and I apologize, but we'll take just a minute there. Those of you out in Facebook land, I'm still talking to you. We're going to hold up our comb with our thumb and our forefinger like that so that we can control the pitch of the comb. Notice my wrist isn't moving. It's only my thumb, and it's rockering between my thumb and my finger. This is going to be easy on your wrist, easy on your elbow, and easy on your shoulder. This is one of the ways we hope to see to it that you enjoy a long, healthy career. So that comb shape is extremely important. Now, as we get Zoom back up here, take me just a minute to get into the meeting. Apologies for the slight delay. Thank you for your patience. Okay, did you miss me? My apologies there. I am back. As I mentioned, we got thunderstorms in Chicago today, so it's very possible we're going to have some internet stability issues, and I apologize for that. If you've been with me for classes before, It's not the first time that's happened. So we're holding our comb with our thumb and forefinger to pitch, wiggle, and control. Now you'll notice when I take a quarter and I hold it up on the handle of the comb, look at the size there. That's not a mistake. That's not an accident. That's very deliberate that the size of the comb was set up to allow us to hold that comb perfectly. Now, that's the handle area. Let's talk about the size of the blade. Scissor over comb is traditionally done with a scissor at 6.5 or longer. This is a 6.5. This is a 7. It was very important that we have enough blade, this is called the blade of the comb actually, we have enough blade of the comb to allow us the area to cut. This can't be too short so that we don't have the full area to cover. We want to cover enough of the head to be efficient, just like that 100 by 1, just like the $100,000 hair cutter element this today where we talked about overlapping sections. We want enough section there to work with without the comb being too long, and we still wanted the comb short enough to fit down inside of our barbicide jar. So it was really about balancing that length properly. The next thing we want is a very straight spine. The spine of the comb should be a straight line. We don't want a curve like what we have here. You see a curved spine on our tapering end because when we taper with a trimmer and we do fine work, that curving motion is essential to what we do. But in scissor over comb, the straight spine is much more important because we're going to hold the comb at an angle, and that straight spine, that line of inclination, is going to allow us to move through the hair to prevent lines and marks and to get a nice, smooth, tapered surface. Now, bad comb for scissor over comb. Bad comb, good comb, wide teeth. Scissor over comb, very specifically, unlike a lot of our overhead layering, and I want to grab a mannequin here real quick. Unlike a lot of our overhead layering, when we are working over the head, we're holding hair in our fingers and we're trying to be very precise. Well, that is exactly what we don't want to do when we work with scissor over comb. We want smoothness, we want blending, we want tapering, we want the hair to lay very nice, and therefore it's very important that as we come up into the head like that, we hold the hair lightly. We don't grip the hair like we do in our fingers to get very tight tension. We would not want to cut scissor over comb with the very fine teeth on the very narrow end of a comb like this. Scissor over comb, bad comb. Okay? Scissor over comb, good comb. Wide teeth. What's a guy's favorite styling tool? It's his hand. What is a hand? A hand is a wide tooth comb. What is this? It's a wide tooth comb. Now, for some densities and textures of hair, you might say these upper teeth are a little too wide. And if you said that, I might agree with you. So what we've done is we've provided these quarter height teeth at the bottom. These are called dual texture teeth. If you look at them really closely, you really check them out, you'll notice they're angled at the sides and they're knocked in, angled at the edges. They've almost got, not really a point, but a bevel. They bevel in from the bottom and they bevel in from the sides. But they're half the distance of the wider teeth above. So when we get into the throat of the teeth, meaning down into the bottom of the teeth, for scissor over comb work like I'm doing up in through the top of the head, gotta get my stool out of the way. When I come into the top of the head like that, I'm working lower down in the teeth, so I'm getting a little better grab on the hair, but I'm not trying to tension, sort, and organize hair like I do in a tight comb like that. Bad comb for scissor over comb. Good comb for scissor over comb. So our tooth spacing is also important. We talked about the handle, we talked about the spine, we talked about the length of it, and we talked about the tooth spacing. I think we're good. I think we talked about that. The next thing we want to look at is the scissor itself. Now, I mentioned, that's my CBO, Cosmo Barberology scissors. These are custom made for me. I have them from 5 all the way up to 7.5, every ½ inch. This is a favorite of mine. This is a 6.5. And the reason I like the 6.5 is I think it's a small enough scissors for what I call shape crafting. Shape crafting is a lot of the hold it in your hands and precisely control that which you're doing. Great for that. But it's also just long enough at 6.5 that we can begin to effectively scissor over comb with that. So 6.5 is good. Now this is a master scissor from 4420. It's got what they call that hammer style handle. It's a standard opposed scissor. This is a very classic barber scissors. My CBOs sell for about $159 on the website for all the different sizes, left or right-handed. This scissor, available at almost every barber supply on the planet. This is about, I think, a $59 scissors. Not a very expensive scissors, a very good scissor. And one of the important things you'll notice about this scissor, if you open it up and look at it, where the CBOs are a Japanese hollow grind, the inside is hollowed out and you've got a knife edge, a very razor-like edge. The inside of this one, if you look, it features a beveled edge. There's an angle that is ground on the edge of the scissors, and it is what's called one-side micro-serrated. What that means is the moving blade is smooth and razor sharp. The non-moving blade, if you look at it, and you probably won't be able to see it up close on the camera, but by rotating it and seeing how the light will hit it, you may be able to see that this blade features very, very tiny micro serrations, like tiny little teeth. That's extremely important for more barber style work. It gives the scissor a crispier feel, almost crunchy. It gives the scissor a very specific sound. A micro serrated scissor has a tendency to sound like, if you close your eyes and you can imagine being in a barber shop, you can hear scissors. What you're hearing is micro serrated scissors. They hold their edge really, really well, but they hold hair. What happens is when you close down a micro serrated scissor on a section of hair, it grabs and holds the hair and snips it off. On a Japanese hollow ground scissors, especially if you're taking larger sections of hair, when you go to cut, sometimes the hair will cut, but occasionally the scissor, as it closes, will push the hair forward out of the blades. It's not a bad thing. It actually slows down your cutting. It finesses your cutting a little bit, which for a Japanese edge scissors is a good thing because it really smooths and polishes your work. But it's a very different style of work. Traditional barber scissor over comb, especially on drier hair, because wet hair will cut more immediately, dry hair will do more pushing or sliding out of the scissors. And it's just a matter of what you're familiar with. It's a matter of what you get used to. It's a matter of what suits your style of work. So notice when we talk about scissor over comb, we're not just talking about graduation. We're not just talking about perimeter cutting. We're also talking about moving up and then moving into the interior of the top of the head. So I think it's important to recognize that. So we've talked about our comb, we've talked about our scissors, we've talked about our blade lengths, we've talked about the blade edge style. Now we're ready to do some scissor over comb cutting. So I'm going to switch mannequins here. I'm going to get this guy up just a little bit higher for visual purposes. And I'm going to switch to a mannequin that's got a little more hair to donate to the cause. All right? Now, this was left over. It's a one-side mullet demo, but I'm going to dampen him up, and I'm going to take some hair off of this side to get it down a little bit. And I want to talk to you about scissor over comb on long hair and on short hair, because I believe the procedure or the processes are different. I'm going to tip the camera down a little bit on zoom, so we got a little more head. Don't worry if my head disappears out of the top of the picture. I'm not as concerned with you taking a good look at my head here. Okay? We're going to focus on this longer hair at the back of the head. I want to cover scissor over comb on longer hair, then I want to cover scissor over comb on shorter hair. It's always better to do the longer hair first, because once it's shorter, I can't demo longer on the hair that's shorter. I think you know what I mean. So here's what I'll do to sum it up. When we cut scissor over comb on shorter hair, or shorter hair, we work from the bottom up. We work from the bottom up on shorter hair. When we cut scissor over comb on longer hair, we work from the top down. And I'll show you what I mean by that. But let's look at a couple of discipline things. Scissor over comb. We've got a still blade and a moving blade. The moving blade is moving and the still blade is not moving, or still. The moving blade is moving and the still blade is still. That discipline is important. You can practice this on the back of your hand. This is how we did it in barber school. Resting the scissors on the back of our hand and trying to keep this hand quiet except for the thumb. Not a lot of quacking. If you quack like a duck, if you move both, if you quack like a duck, remember our sock puppet from Scissor Clinic? If you're going to sock puppet on me, if you're going to be doing this, if you're going to be moving the whole head like that, if you're going to sock puppet, your taper's going to be all chopped up. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to keep the thumb in motion and the rest of your hand quiet. One thing I did there, some people do, see how my two fingers here are close to the ring? Some people like to walk their hand out a bit. Notice how when I get my index finger closer to the pivot screw, and it's easier on a smaller scissors. Notice my knuckle right there is riding right at the pivot screw instead of being back here. That sometimes helps with that upper hand stability. But when we're cutting like this, we want the moving blade moving and the non-moving blade still. Now, we want the non-moving blade parallel to the spine, like this, and we want to come up. There should be a line that is your scissors matching the line that is the comb spine. I'm on the back side here so you can see it. But as you come up the head, you don't want to be like this. Notice how my non-moving blade is coming below my comb. No good. You want to be here. You want to be parallel. The comb will control the hair, and the scissors will move up with it together. So, when we are working up the head on shorter hair, we're going to be at an angle. Remember, if we're horizontal, remember when we did all our clipper over comb in some previous classes, we didn't want to cut horizontal like this, because when the hair sits in at the bottom of the spine, you're going to get steps, ledges, lines, or weight lines. That's going to be a no-no. You're going to be very upset with that. By keeping the comb at an angle, we got better, smoother tapering with fewer lines and marks. When we drop our clipper and we pick up our scissor, nothing changes. We still want to come in at an angle. We still want to come in at an angle and work our way up. And we're going to roll the comb. Again, this is a duplicate. This is an overlap from clipper over comb. I want to roll the comb till the top of the tips of the teeth are tipped out towards me. I want to roll the comb till the top of the tips of the teeth are tipped out towards me. I don't want the top of the tips of the teeth to be tipped in towards the customer. If the top of the tips of the teeth are tipped in towards the customer, I'm going to dig a hole in their head. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a bad day at the barber shop. So rolling the comb out, looking for the teeth to be pointing out towards me as I come up the head. Now, down low, I want the comb to be flatter against the head. Up high, I want to rock the comb out or twist the comb out. Again, very specific to the design of the zoot comb. The thickness of the comb at the spine is less than half of the thickness of the spine. Here's what I mean. The distance between the tips of my fingernails right here is less than half of the distance between my fingertips right here. What does that mean? That means the spine is bigger this way than it is this way. So what does that mean? That means the roll of the comb adds length. Shorter, longer, 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 longer. As we come out like that. You see that progression from when we're sitting flat on the head to when we're sitting perpendicular on the head to when we're launching off the head. That's the C-shaped or curving motion through which our comb travels, and the thickness of the spine. Again, in the design of this comb, there were no accidents. It was all very deliberate. So we're going to come up the head like that. Now, before we go to short hair clipper over, scissor over comb, let's look at long. I said earlier, with longer hair, you want to work down from above instead of up from below, and here's why. If I wanted to start tapering, and I want to part off half this head, I just don't want you to get confused with more haircut than we're working with right here. I want to focus on just a piece of this. Let's just clip that out of the way. I want to focus on just this piece of the haircut. If I said to you we were going to taper scissor over comb, and I said I wanted to taper up from below short, well, I don't even know where the bottom is. Look, the neckline is all the way up underneath there. I can't see that. And I can't hope to start cutting out here, digging out from under all of this hair. So what I want to do is I want to get some of this bulk down out of the way first. I want to walk my way down or work my way down so I can see the head shape, so I can see the contour, so I can see the taper that I'm creating. So that's going to start by working high to low. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my scissor closed and my comb to comb up and take that away. Now I'm going to comb down. You can see that cut that I made. Remember, we're not going to be horizontal, we're going to be at an angle. I'm going to comb up, and I'm not going to go quite as high. You can see that first piece of hair that I cut at the top is right there. There's a little bit of a guide area. Now I'm going to come just short of that by about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to cut again. Now I'm going to come just short of that by 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to cut again. And I'm going to come just short of that, and I'm going to cut again. And you'll notice I'm taking off quite a bit of hair. But look what I began to do. I began to shape up that area to put the basic taper, look at it in profile right there, to put the basic taper in place. That was about 5 cuts from high to low. And if I kind of comb that up and spike that out, you can see how that, look at that, look, there it is right there. Look how that all shaped up there. I just roughed that in at a length of about, 1.25 inches. I roughed that in. But now when you look at this area, you can see the contour, you can see the basic shape. That was long hair, scissor over comb to take down bulk, to rough in the basic shape. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to hop over. Remember we talked about overlap? I first worked right here. Now I'm going to move over with a bit of section overlap to do it again. And I'm going to work high to low. Now notice what I'm doing. I'm combing through by rotating through to get to high. Then I'm going to comb through, not quite as high, not quite as high, not quite as high, not quite as high, not quite as high. And I've now roughed in that whole area from the back of the ear to the center back by my gripper. I've got this area here roughed in. Longer hair, scissor over comb. Now, I can go all the way up into the top if I wish, because it's a little bit long right there in the crown. And notice how I blend up into that top. I didn't do that any differently than I would have had I held it up in my fingers and cut it with my fingers. Because what happens in a scissor over comb motion like that, the comb becomes my fingers. Instead of me doing that and cutting, and doing that and cutting, and doing that and cutting, I'm doing the exact same thing, except I'm using my comb as my fingers. I'm combing up, to blend up into the top. So that is working high to low for scissor over comb on longer hair. Now let's talk about working shorter hair, low to high. Very simply, we're going to start down low. We're going to work our way up the head. Notice I started here, then I moved over. I've got two panels here. I work up just a little bit, working from down low, working my way up, working my way up, working my way up, and then I'll hop over, working my way up, working my way up, working my way up, working my way up, and then I'll move over. Notice the angle of my comb. Now in this case, I set the comb in once, and I turned it out towards me, and I'm polishing off what's extending out below the comb. But now I'm really beginning to taper that in nicely. By the way, this is the point at which we will talk about the feature with the zoot comb of the additional snap-on guides or guards. Now, you know, we've had guards for clippers for hundreds of years. And you know, guards snap on our clippers to allow us to control length in a tapering mode just like that. So what I said when I designed the zoot comb is I said, hang on, wait a minute. We love our guards, and we love using our guards for doing our tapered work. But we've never had the guard over here. What if we switch the guard? Instead of putting the guard on the clipper, what if we put the guard on the comb? And that's how those work. Notice they go in tips first. There's two teeth that have an angle or a bevel. They drop into the guard, and then just like a clipper, they snap or click on the backside. This becomes kind of cool because now we can rest this on the head just like we would with a clipper guard, and we can walk our way up. Now, the comb on its own has always been a 1, but now with the guard system for the zoot comb is the 2 and the 3 and the 4. And they go right on that comb. They snap right on that comb. And by the way, I always like to point out for the lefties, if you flip it over and you put it on the other side, now it works for the lefties. But it goes on the client side of the comb like that, facing towards the client. Notice we tapered there, we tapered here, we've got this heavy spot. Can everybody see right there, that heavy spot right behind the ear? Well, here's a perfect example of how we clipper over comb that. We come in behind the ear, we find that, and we simply power that off using our scissor over comb technique, using our, in this case, our 4 guard, and rolling the comb till the top of the tips of the teeth are tipped out towards us, and allows for beautiful scissor over comb blending. All we have left to do at this point is detail in this portion with our trimmer. Now, if we want that bottom edge a little shorter, I used my 4. I skipped my 3 guard. We're using skip guard technique. That's something we've talked about in many classes in the past. We'll talk about skip guard again next week. But we used our 4, we skipped our 3, we go to our, that's our number 2. We put our 2 guard on the comb now, and look how that allows me to get that much closer into the equation, closer into the haircut, to allow me to do that beautiful scissor over comb work. All right. Holding the comb at an angle, working up from below when the hair is shorter, having worked down from above. Now notice here, I've got my zoot comb, I've got my number 2 guard. That's a 1/4 inch of cutting. But look where I am in the top of the head. I actually like to do a lot of my top cutting with the guard in place. Even though I'm not resting on the head, by having that guard in place at the top of the hair, I get those longer teeth that kind of help me rake through. And notice, remember we talked about how wide the teeth are at the top of the comb? The guard teeth are even double wider yet. So we go double, then half, and then down to half on the finer teeth at the bottom as we work our way through. You'll also notice that the way these guards were designed, when we're working over comb like that, we're not working in the fine teeth. The fine teeth are blocked by the guard. We're only getting down to the mid-width teeth, not the wide, the medium, and the narrow. We're working just in the medium zone on this, and that gives us that natural flow control of the hair, like when a guy would style his hair or run a wide hand through a head of hair like that. So that allows for beautiful scissor over comb work. So that covers scissor over comb on longer hair as we work up, down from up, and shorter hair as we work up from down. That also covers a little bit of working through the top of the head, as we saw with the shorter mannequin that we had out here first when we were addressing our top cutting. And I'll go back and I'll share that with you one more time. Let me just drop this just a tiny bit. Remember, we have our guard on the comb, but that guard has nothing to do with the top length at this point. The guard at this point is just helping us control our working through the hair by having those longer teeth in place to help us work through it like that. So that lets us layer up into the top of the head really, really smoothly, really, really nicely, really, really beautifully, for real classic barbered kind of work. Now, I will caution you, if you are a sort of Vidal Sassoon inspired precision hair cutter, if you watch Ivan, and I can do this whole haircut, 100% of this haircut, scissor over comb. Except for lining and edging, I would switch to a trimmer. But I can taper the back and sides like this. I can taper the back and sides like this. I can come up through the top like this, and I can layer through the top, and I can create a beautiful haircut. The entire, and any good hair cutter can, scissor over comb like that. An experienced hair cutter has no problem with it. But I will warn you, when you go to check, if you come into this haircut now and you cross-check it, you're not going to find hard, crispy lines like were you to have cut through the top of this with your fingers. Because we're using wide teeth for low tension, and we're cutting the hair in a very much more natural distribution. So when you comb it up, it's going to look a little softer. But when you wear it, when you live it, when you lay it down, when you style it out, it's going to style beautifully, because it's not going to have hard defined lines to it. It's going to have a much more natural flow and a much more natural feel, and that's very, very desirable for a lot of your classic looking men's haircuts. So we covered clipper over comb, we covered the features of the comb, we covered short hair tapering, clipper over comb, longer hair shaping and debulking, again, scissor over comb, I'm sorry, short hair scissor over comb, longer hair scissor over comb for debulking. We covered scissor over comb top cutting. I want to add one more element to the conversation, and that is blending scissors. Because when we use blending scissors, scissor over comb, we're operating in the same ways. But blending scissors are a great tool, not just for blending, but for helping hair cutters build a level of comfort and confidence with scissor over comb cutting. Because they don't cut everything. They slow down the process, they smooth out the process, they finesse the process, and they even further reduce the tendency to create steps, lines, or marks. So you get beautiful results, and you take a little bit of the fear, a little bit of the risk, a little bit of the fright out of scissor over comb cutting when you work with a blender or a texturizer even in a scissor over comb mode. It slows you down, but it polishes and smooths the hair in a very different way. So one big suggestion for new hair cutters who are beginning to master classic scissor over comb is do some scissor over comb work first using a blender to boost your confidence. Very forgiving. You can't screw this. You can't screw this up. It just makes it so easy to really do. And I can boogie with this. I can move nice and fast and smooth. And boy, do these haircuts just lay in such a nice, soft way. So that's the idea of using blending scissors, not only to smooth the work, but also to smooth the anxiety, if you will, that some new hair cutters may feel when approaching scissor over comb like this, especially early on in your career when it's a little bit newer and it might be a little bit scarier for you. As we go to the last of our timing here, we always like to go to Q&A. Is there anybody here in Facebook land? I want to check questions. Will wall guards work just as well? Ronnie, I'm not sure what that question means. You can snap a wall guard onto a wall comb. It doesn't fit perfectly. It splays the teeth a little bit. And when you put a wall guard on a wall comb, please be aware, ours were designed that when you put them on, the tab on the bottom here does not interrupt the surface you're working on. When you put a wall guard on a wall comb, the tab extends beyond over here, and you can't clipper, it'll catch and snag, but you can scissor above it like that. So you can do that, but it does have some limitations. It's not designed to do that. The Zoot comb was specifically designed to do that, but thanks for pointing that out. What's the best way to keep track of your guidelines? James asks. Work in vertical panels. Vertical panel is guide 1. Overlap, overlap, and overlap as you move through the head like that. That way you always have a piece of guide in your section as you work. I think that can have, it can help a lot. Yes, Ronnie, no problem. Got you, buddy. Roman, thank you for your comment. Yeah, when you cut longer hair, it's easier to lose track of the guides. That's why you want to, especially with long hair scissor over comb. Again, the comment here, oh, wrong mannequin. The comment here, when we're working with longer hair, to keep track of the guides in that way, have the hair a little bit damp for control, and work in vertical sections. Again, vertical, so you can always pick up. One of the things that will help you keep track of them, and here I'm working my way down from above like this, grabbing that longer hair and blending it through. One of the things that will help is the light color of the comb. It helps you see those guides. With a dark comb, if you try this exact same thing, and again, no accident, why we went with that light gray color. When you work with a dark comb, it's very hard to see the hair dark on dark like that. You're really struggling visually to see that. The light comb may also help that way for you a lot. Is it better to leave it longer than to cut too much off and you can't fix it? Jorge, I think you know the answer to that question. It's a book, 100 New Clients in 100 Days. That's Scott answering a question for me. You should get both. That's Scott answering. Thank you, Scott. Scott's plugging away for me. What is the 100 by 100? Right there. 100 by 100 is the book. 100 new haircut customers in 100 days guaranteed. Our 11 o'clock class, we're going to dig into what this book is all about, and we're going to look at what's called the 400, which are your 400 customers, because you need 400 to be busy. We're going to talk about your 400 customer. Should I get the 100,000 book or should I get 100 by 100? You should get, they're available in a 2-book combo. You save a little money. You should get both. Or you should get the 4-book combo, which is both plus big and bigger. These are your marketing books. If you're only buying one, If you're still a student, go here. If you're out of school and you're already working, you want to get busy fast, go here. If you're out of school, you're already working, and you got an extra couple of bucks, buy the 2-pack. I think that's a great answer. All right, guys. Do you use the Zoot comb exclusively? Michael, it's got my name on it. I am Zoot. It is my Zoot comb. I have 24 of these on my station in the shop. I don't use anything else. You'll notice here in my classes, occasionally I will wave around another comb. Remember, bad comb. I show you this comb because I tell you not to use it. Bad comb. I don't ever use it. I show you this comb because it's dark and I tell you, don't use it. Use the light comb. You can't cut what you can't see. So I don't use anything. You'll never see me anywhere ever cutting hair with anything other than a Zoot comb. The reason I designed it was I took all the combs I love, and we love our combs, and I took the best thing about every comb I've ever liked, and I built one comb that has all of the best features of all of the best combs that I've ever used. And that's it right there. Let me see if we got some questions up here on chat. Looking forward to it. I have all 4. Thank you, Mike P. Love the comb. Thank you, Tamira. All right. How can I get the comb set? IvanZoot.com. That's where you get it. How long were the scissors? This guy that I was using was a 7. And the CBO that I have here, IvanZoot.com, for these, this is a 6.5. So 6.5 to 7 for me is really the ideal length. Wow, there's hair everywhere. Is the ideal length for scissor over comb cutting. Good questions. Anybody else? I'm trying out my Ivan Zoot swag this weekend. Cannot wait. Yeah, love it. Does the comb work well on women's hair? David, the comb doesn't know whose hair you're using it on. I always love when I get that kind of question. I have a lot of female clients that have a lot of very short hair. I also use it for some longer hair cutting and sectioning. Any haircut. It's very specifically designed for men's hair, short hair. All your short-haired ladies, pixie work and all that kind of stuff, you'll just love it. But gender-wise, it doesn't really matter. But it's a short hair tool. Between the guard system and everything else that it's designed to be all about, it's really your ideal short hair cutting comb. All right, guys, any other questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody being here. We're going to be back at 11 for 100 by 100, the men's and the haircut clientele building class about your 400 customers that are going to be so important to help you build and grow your business. So I invite you and I encourage you to come back at 11. Everybody good? Thank you much. See you later. Have a great morning. 11 o'clock, next class right here. And by the way, Zoom folks, the link has been posted to all my social medias. It's in my Twitter. If you can't find it, find it. If you're worried and you can't find it, text me or message me during the break and I'll send you the link directly. We'll see y'all soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.